I can see he knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, so what you do is you nuke your ginsters, don't you? And then you boil the kettle, then just mizzle off to the lav, and you take a piss with one hand, and you take a punt at the races on your iPhone with the other. Then you collect your dinner, and you work the room, don't you? You know, you just walk into the office and go over to the desks of those not fortunate enough to be on the lunch yet, and you rub it in a bit, don't you? Oh, you know, you have to wait, pal, you're starving, I'm here, king of the castle, you know, lord of the manor, just enjoying me ginsters and me cup of builders with 14 sugars. That is what I call effective time management, yeah? When the gaff is doling out promotions, that is the sort of initiative that he wants to be looking out for. Am I right, guys? They liked it. Gauging the reaction at whoever watches this on YouTube at some point in the future is trickier. I mean, a great comedian might be able to do it, but nah, I'm just going to use these guys as a metric. They like that. I mean, it didn't exactly reinvent the wheel, but they have a reasonable expectation for the rest of the show. I mean, what they expect to follow now is a series of loosely connected tales of folly and public embarrassment, peppered with the kind of cracker-barrel wisdom you would expect from the likes of Tom O'Connor. This isn't something they've actually said, but I'm just reiterating what they conveyed to me wordlessly. They expect that the initial joke is going to set the tone for the rest of the set. Watch as I confound these expectations.
Now, I'm very clear on the expectations the audience had for this set.
Sure.
They were expecting more unfriendly material that you presented wanting, as did I.
Sure.
It's painfully obvious, but Andy, what were your expectations?
Well, I felt really positive as I wrote this new material. For me, it represented a chance to hit back at some of my critics and create something fresh and innovative.
Now, I think we both know the answer to this one, but I'll shoot. Were your expectations met?
Yes, when I finished the manuscript I was elated, but when I read it over again my elation turned to despair. The deadline was 12 hours away and I hadn't really written anything. I just spent 3 weeks frenetically scrawling on paper.
Primal.
All I had in front of me was page after page of these angry, inarticulate scribbles born from frustration, each one a vituperative swipe at my betters whom I resented for their ability and success.
I see. Where did you go from there?
I was now faced with the dual challenge of transcribing this primitive vitriol and working it into saleable material.
Now, you succeeded on one account, but failed spectacularly on the other.
Yes.
Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, there's no doubt in it really. I mean, last couple of years there's been a real spike in the number of tablet and smartphone users, and this has been a real game changer when it comes to our news consumption. Yeah, the film documentary Page One inside the New York Times examines this phenomena, and in the documentary NYT veteran David Carr explains that nowadays when a big news story breaks, people aren't waiting for the newsstands, not waiting for the evening extra anymore. They're going straight to the digital and social networks to check out the facts, and in many cases, the contributors in the blogosphere are breaking the news stories before the big guys. So much so that many of the journalists are now scouring Twitter for facts secondhand when they rush in to meet a deadline for the evening edition. For the print media giants, it was a case of adapt or die, because it's all digital now, isn't it? In fact, in 2011, when the documentary was filmed, NYT veteran David Carr did mention that he had some reservations about the future of the NYT in a dog-eat-dog digital realm. But it has to be said that they have weathered the storm remarkably well, because at the end of that year alone, they clocked up an impressive 44.7 unique visitors to their site, making them the second most frequented newspaper website, second only to the Daily Mail. I'll tell you what, it really is a dog-eat-dog world out there. I'll tell you a little story about my dog. Whenever he hears a doorbell, he always thinks it's for him. So, it's a fact anyway that the Daily Mail is the world's most popular newspaper website. Vox Populi, Vox Dei and all that. This is just a fact, you know, this is stuff to talk about at cocktail parties.
Now, most of the material is thinly veiled invective against people you don't like. This week, Andy, the blunt Arab archer. You have Richard Hammond in your line of sight.
No, Littlejohn.
Richard Littlejohn, I beg your pardon. Let's take a look.
Given that the Daily Mail is most popular, I think it's safe to assume that most of you will go there for your news, and that the Mail is broadly well liked by this cohort.
Ooh.
No? No? No. Oh. This routine's going to go down like a lead balloon then? No. Of course, I'm a professional comedian and savvy enough to realise that most of my audience may be left-leaning or libertarian, and that is why I have written a routine that would placate an audience that do not like the Daily Mail. What about that Richard Littlejohn, eh? That messiah of Middle England's mediocrity, that paragon of curtain-twitching paranoia, that zeitgeist of the mildly xenophobic. Anyway, I have a story about Richard Littlejohn. A little while back I was waiting in the queue at a branch of Waitrose in central London. I'd been to the Co-op earlier. Ordinarily my loyalties would lie with them, but on this occasion they were all out of chicken liver parfait. And who should I see in front of me? Who should I see in front of me at this central London branch of Waitrose but Richard Littlejohn? I was absolutely astonished to see Richard Littlejohn in front of me, Andrew Rees, at a branch of Waitrose in central London. If you had told me that morning that I would see Richard Littlejohn right in front of me in the queue at Waitrose in central London, I would have laughed you out of the bloody room is what I would have done. I felt injured. I felt that the Mail's widespread influence across these aisles had been an insidious one. "Hello, Richard," I said. "Hello, Andy," was his reply. "I've seen you on the telly, but I can't say that I was impressed with what I saw." "You seen me on the telly?" I asked. "Yes." "Well, I don't like the Daily Mail and what you do, Richard." "Oh." "What do you have to say about that?" "Andy, if you knew my story, if you knew my story, Andy, then perhaps you would look upon me more kindly. After all, you are in the wrong here." "Try me," I said.
Now, in the next part of our routine, you tell a story about Richard Littlejohn being marooned on 6 islands for year-long stretches, each a shop-worn caricature of a middle-class nightmare.
Yes.
Now, there's a lot to be said for the power of clarity and brevity.
Well, perhaps.
You cleared the room within 10 minutes. The routine lasted for 6 hours 31 minutes. Towards the end, you were out on the street reciting to the binman. He said it was rubbish.
Or perhaps he was talking about his work.
I doubt it, but even if he was, an empty hole doesn't bode well for this material, does it?
No.
So Andy, my final question is this. I'll be honest, I regret coming here and feel my time's been wasted, but I'd like an honest answer from you, if you will. Are you pleased with yourself?
Yes.
You haven't listened to the question. Are you pleased with yourself?
I am, and I think...
You're not real... Are you pleased with yourself?
Well, overall...
How can I put this in more simpler terms? Are you happy with yourself and what you've done?
Oh, well, maybe I...
Are you pleased with yourself after this?
No. No.
Good. That's something.
Richard, the image of you that I have burned upon my psyche as some kind of deeply insecure, sociopathic, yellow press magnate has softened. I now see you in a more sympathetic light. "Thank you, Andy," he said, "but you are still very much in the wrong. See, this aisle is 5 items or less, and I count at least 8 in your basket."